As a personal injury attorney, I understand that an insurance company does not like to pay claims, especially in a truck accident or trucking injury case. In some cases, the insurance company will deny your claim entirely. Now let's talk about the problem. According to Newsweek, the United States was on track in 2015 to have its deadliest traffic year since 2007. The National Safety Council says that nearly 19,000 people are killed as a result of motor vehicle accidents between January and June. That's a 14% increase from last year. The number of injuries and costs associated with traffic accidents also rose significantly. According to estimates from the National Safety Council, nearly 2.3 million serious injuries, which the National Safety Council defines as those requiring consultation from a doctor, were sustained during the 6-month period. That's up 30% when compared to the first half of 2014. In a similar upward trend, the amount of medical expenses, wage and productivity losses, and property damage increased 24% to roughly $152 billion. According to Howard Abramson, who is an executive at American Trucking Associations, as of 1 year ago, more people were killed in traffic accidents involving large trucks in 1 year than have died in all of the domestic commercial airline crashes over the past 45 years. Now, large trucks are disproportionately involved in fatal accidents. While heavy trucks accounted for less than 10% of total miles traveled in the United States during 2013, according to federal data, the NTSB recently reported that they were involved in 1 in 8 of all fatal accidents and about 1/4 of all fatal accidents in work zones, like the crash that injured the famous comedian Tracy Morgan and killed his friend Jimmy Mack. Now the question some may have is why? Well, there are a number of leading causes. Driver fatigue is the #1 cause of trucking accidents. These accidents are also often caused by mechanical failures, mostly brake failures and defective tires. The U.S. Department of Transportation recently reported that more than 1/4 of all large truck crashes, 29.4%, involve brake failures, brakes out of adjustment, or other brake-related issues. Large commercial trucks are constantly on the road, wearing down tires and brakes and requiring comprehensive ongoing maintenance. However, their obligation to save time and make profits can sometimes tempt some truck drivers and trucking companies to disregard the rules and skip over some inspection procedures. That disregard can lead to serious personal injuries and wrongful deaths. Now, in many cases, liability may be assigned to one or more negligent parties: the driver, the company that loaded the truck, the party responsible for maintaining the truck, and the manufacturer of the truck. After an accident, the trucking, hauling, and leasing companies frequently argue about whose insurance should reimburse the victim. For example, in a case involving truck brake failures, the trucking company might claim that the brakes were manufactured defectively. The brake manufacturer might then point to the leasing company, claiming that it failed to maintain the brakes properly. Now, the federal government enforces strict regulations on the safety of trucks and trucking companies, and are held to certain standards to keep their trucks and drivers safe. For example, if a truck's brakes are not up to those federal standards and you're injured in a collision with that truck, you may have a claim against the brake manufacturer. Sometimes, however, there is no defect in the truck's brakes, and it's actions of the truck driver or the owner that caused the crash. Or in other times, there may be a tire blowout. Now, we have all seen the long, heavy strips of tire pieces littering the roadway after a truck has a tire blowout. When a truck tire fails, an injury or a fatality is a predictable consequence. The most common cause of truck tire failures are manufacturing defects. Even when the defective truck tires are recalled, there's no guarantee that a tire retailer or a truck owner will heed the recall warning. There's also no guarantee that a truck's tires have been maintained properly or even treaded or have their air pressure checked routinely. Other far too frequent tire-related maintenance mistakes happen all too often. For example, using tires that do not meet the minimum Department of Transportation requirements, mounting mismatched tires, or mixing different kinds of tires like radial and bias tires. The trucking companies that do not maintain the braking systems on their trucks can lead to multiple technical problems, an accident waiting to happen. The network of players in the trucking industry can be quite complicated, and getting the information you need after being injured isn't always easy. Now, to conclude, it's important to know that if you are injured in a collision with a truck in the state of Texas, because the truck driver or truck company negligence, you may be able to obtain compensation for your medical treatment and related expenses, but you'll need the help of a good, experienced Texas personal injury attorney. If you're injured in a trucking accident, an experienced Texas personal injury attorney can help you determine the cause and help you determine who is responsible. In addition, an experienced personal injury lawyer can determine what is a fair demand for a settlement or a jury verdict. For example, how do you determine the fair amount of money for a broken bone, like a broken arm or a broken back, a neck injury, a lost limb, or a brain injury? An experienced personal injury attorney or lawyer can help, and oftentimes the first meeting or initial consultation is free. Finally, perhaps the most important thing to remember is to get help as soon as possible.